When you look at a day like today and the significance of what you're trying to do and film a certain message, once you made the first contact with myself, at that point in the spirit world and in the natural law, they started to prepare for us. And they prepared a beautiful day like this. That's why we never curse the weather. We never get mad if it's raining or snowing, or because it listens to us. And it may not cooperate if we curse it all the time when you have a big outdoor function or something. So this is why we're always very gracious that every day is a blessing. And in our spiritual connection with all living things, we're actually influenced more than we realize in society. When you look at even the films that come out of Hollywood, I remember there was this young film student. He would go to the Navajo and he would go to the Hopi people and he would study the culture and the ceremony and the spirituality. And then he came back to school and he started having this idea, a connection with all living things. And this young student, his name was George Lucas, and he came out with this storyline called Star Wars. And in this storyline, he had the mystical abilities of our spiritual leaders that he called the Jedi. And their ability and their power comes from all living things. Another producer from Hollywood named James Cameron, he went on record before his big debut of release of Avatar. And he told the interviewer, I want to make a film that'll make the white man feel how we treated the native people. And that was his quote. His quote was to acknowledge the lifestyle of the native people and how we interrupted such a fine, well-balanced ecosystem. And I thought he had a really good message that interpreted that. So we're actually influenced more than we realize in connections with all living things. We listen not by our eyes, our ears. We listen by our sixth sense. We call it our spiritual guide. Scientists will call it your intuition or that sixth sense. The Catholics will call it a guardian angel. We call it our spirit guide. And we get an overwhelming vibration feeling that is a natural, interpretation of danger, of unhealthy situations. And this is what our abilities to listen to the earth comes from. It's not from me looking at the water and visually seeing it needs our help or listening to the beautiful sound of it. It's connecting and getting a vibe, a spiritual connection. And that's how we listen. It's impossible to see, it's impossible to hear it, but it's not impossible to feel it. Every living thing has philosophy that we use to better our lives. Like the buffalo, thicker in front, designed that way naturally so that it can run through the winter storm. Doesn't go hiding, doesn't run away. It faces adversity. And that's what it teaches us. We got to face our fears in life, just like that buffalo does. And that's the stories they tell us. Right now is the time to ask for all the indigenous people to help on reversing what we're doing damage-wise. In the future, if we don't do this, it's going to be too late. Once the earth is irreparably damaged and we're fighting for our existence, then that's when governments, non-believers are going to run to the native people and say, how do we fix this? And we're going to unfortunately say, you're too late. You're supposed to ask us 20, 30 years ago. So now is that time. In our ceremony, we ground ourselves we have a spirit aura, and then we'll visualize our aura planting into the earth, like the roots of a tree, is making a strong connection with all living things. And this is how we're in tune with the vibration of all living things. And this is where we can interpret that. Now, we all have this ability. Every single human being on this earth has the ability to connect like this. It's just that society we live in, we're not listening to it. We're too busy fighting traffic, paying bills, raising children, trying to go to school, work. We're not taking the time to just sit down and connect with your spiritual self and feel this good energy. We all have this. And that's the work of the native people, indigenous people, is we're guides. We're guiding you to reconnect with the ability that we all have as human people.